be dissing our allies because they have a big stake in this.
Like, I don't know how you can be conservative and listen to Hillary talk and be like, wow, she sure is a fucking retard. Like, she's like so clearly leagues above whatever the this current president administration is. Like, Jesus. Hold on. Queen alert.
And joining us now to weigh in on all of this and more, former Secretary of State and former First Lady and former Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton. I'd like to start with Orban's loss. You posted the end of Viktor Orban's autocratic regime is a victory not just for Hungary, but for people who value democracy around the world. How does this impact Europe? Ukraine specifically, and of course, politics here at home?
Well, I think, Mika, this is a significant development. And as I said in my very short comment, it is a win for the Hungarian people. It's a win for Europe. It's a win for democracy. I hope it's also a win for Ukraine. And it is a significant defeat for Putin, for Trump, and for the forces of authoritarianism around the world. Now, of course, we have to learn the lessons that I think are evident from the election. This was an election that was certainly most importantly about the people of Hungary.
Is somebody drawing? Does it sound like somebody's drawing with a pencil? Can you guys hear that? Or wait, was that you, Mooten? No, wait.
Election that was certainly most importantly about the people of Hungary and what they wanted. And the theme of anti-corruption, of the disgust that the Hungarian people had with the corruption by Orban, his family, his enablers, his cronies, was one of the driving forces in what was a historic turnout of more than 77%. So this was a very important event for a lot of the values. And I just want to say that ironically, when J.D. Vance was there propping up Orban, he followed in the footsteps, of course, of Rubio and Trump's very staunch support for Orban. He kept going on and on about how we had to save Western civilization. Well, in fact, voting Orban out is a win for Western civilization. It's a win for accountable government. It's a win for the rule of law. It is a win for checks and balances. It's a win against corruption. And it's a win against those who cozy up to dictators like Vladimir Putin.
And Madam Secretary, how ironic that anybody would go to Orban's Hungary and talk about that somehow this was a bastion of Western civilization, when in fact it was just the opposite. You're right. He attacked the independent judiciary. He attacked the free press. He attacked political institutions.
Very cringe.
That promoted democracy. I'm just curious your take on what should Americans take away from the fact that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin had an alliance together to help elect Viktor Orban, that Hungary's foreign minister was talking to Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, and basically acting as his agent. You had Viktor Orban telling Vladimir Putin, I'll be like the mouse taking the thorn out of the lion's paw. What is it? What is it between Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, and everyone around them that made them go all in so hard for Viktor Orban?
Well, I think you really sort of summed it up, Joe, because what we have here is this really unholy alliance among autocrats and wannabe autocrats. And, Viktor Orban morphed from an anti-communist, anti-Russian young student leader in Hungary into a toady for, Vladimir Putin. And, this isn't the first election that Putin interfered in, as I know very well, and it won't be the last. But this was a resounding defeat for Putin. And what it should tell us is that given the chance, people will not tolerate the kind of oppression that Orban was imposing on them. Yes, he was dominating the government, but he was also dominating the judiciary. He was, in every way possible, strangling a free press. He was taking over the universities and telling them what to teach. Some of that may sound very familiar to your viewers. And what we should be learning from this is that you cannot allow one-man rule, because one-man rule leads to corruption. It leads to oppression. It leads to reckless adventures like we're seeing with Trump in Iran. It leads to the kind of destruction of democratic institutions. And so I think this is a wake-up call for Americans. I don't care what you call yourself politically. If you are an American, you care about American democracy here in our 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, then we want to be independent of the kind of behavior that you see coming from Trump, which is an effort to model himself on Vladimir Putin. Well, Viktor Orban learned that the Hungarian people wouldn't put up with that, and I certainly hope that we see that in the midterm elections and the next presidential election from American voters.
Well, and for people that are listening, I mean, Donald Trump very clearly always said openly that Viktor Orban was a role model for him, invited him to Mar-a-Lago when he was out of the White House, and so he has modeled himself after this authoritarian. Let's talk about the lessons for Democrats here at home. We just had the mayor of San Jose coming on. He's running for governor of California, and he said something that really struck me, whether you're talking about Hungary or whether you're talking about the California governor's race. And he said the best resistance to MAGA is results. And I found it interesting that Orban's opponent didn't run against the sort of things that maybe we would talk about all the time, whether it was an independent judiciary or whether it was about press freedoms. But instead, he talked about corruption and he talked about pocketbook issues. He talked about the economy stupid, as James Carville famously said in 1992. Talk about the lessons from Hungary for Democrats wanting to make a difference in 26 and 28.
I think that the two themes should be affordability and accountability. And I think, obviously, we've talked a lot about affordability, as many of your guests have alluded to. We've got to address the cost of living. I had a piece in the New York Times a few days ago talking about, some of the ways that we should help families, particularly families that are trying to raise children.
Did I ban Aquila from the Discord? They asked me a retarded question when they were in here for call-ins, right?
I don't remember them, no.
They did. I think you can come back in 1 month, okay?
Which has become increasingly expensive, and housing and healthcare and all of the other issues that need to be on the forefront of this election because, we're going in the wrong direction under Donald Trump. We're seeing inflation rise. We're seeing the cost of everything from gas to housing to healthcare going up. So the first A is affordability, but the second A is accountability. And I think that's exactly what the election for the TISA party and the winner, Magyar, was about. It was about the economy. It was about their education system and their healthcare system. But it was also about accountability. And I think they go hand in hand. And I would, hope the Democrats don't focus on one to the exclusion of the other because I think they're very important. You cannot have affordability if you don't have accountability. And accountability starts with reining in the corruption in this White House. Because the corruption is not just the amounts of, money that, Trump and his family are shoveling in. It's also about who they favor, who they give benefits to, often at the cost of, middle-class families and working people. So let's focus on affordability, but let's also focus on accountability. One of the real unfortunate mistakes of the Biden administration is they didn't, really focus on the accountability measure. Well, now there is more than enough to look at and get people to understand the connection between their lives and the enrichment of the Trump family and the Trump cronies. Every single thing they do has a transactional cost that benefits them. So I think we've got a great story to tell. And as you rightly pointed out, it was the story that was told in Hungary. And it was also a story that stayed focused. Look, there are a million things that I disagree with when it comes to what, Trump and his enablers in Congress are doing or failing to do. But let's stay focused on affordability and accountability. I think that's a winning message for Democrats in November and then in 2028.
And by the way, the Wall Street Journal editorial page, I'm sure they'll be very happy to hear this. Echoed much of what Secretary Clinton just said in that, hey, Republicans, look at what happened with Hungary when you had an autocrat picking winners and losers, cozying up and having this corruption in government. And it was a losing ticket in Hungary. It'll be a losing ticket here.
Well, as we slowly get to Iran, and on your point about affordability and accountability really needing to be the message that the Democrats stay focused on, we had, for example, since Easter Sunday and through today, really some would call profane posts by the president. And I just wonder how that fits into staying focused. The Easter Sunday message, the president threatening to decimate a civilization, and then just, I think, overnight posting himself as Jesus. Does reaction to that fit into the message? And what is your reaction?
Problem?
Absolutely. I mean, we need to hold leaders accountable for what they say as well as what they do, because words, especially from an American president, have real consequences. And when you look at the last week of unhinged rants coming from Trump's social media account, it's just disgraceful. I mean, threatening civilizational genocide, threatening Pope Leo, threatening the values. I want to get back to this point. You hear Trump and Vance and these people prattle on and on about Western civilization. I don't think they've ever taken a course in Western civilization. Jesus. I was lucky enough to take one at Wellesley College all those many years ago. And Western civilization has a real meaning. It is a meaning about our values, our institutions. This country of ours is a result of the development over centuries of Western civilization. It is about how we hold leaders accountable so they don't become autocrats and dictators, and how they don't lead us into, reckless wars and really unhinged attacks on, the first American Pope. So, yes, accountability is a very broad concept. It's not just about holding people accountable for the crimes that they've committed, maybe the bribes that they've taken, the kind of, unaccountable power they've exercised. It's also about holding them to a standard, and the standard should be American democracy, our institutions, the rule of law, how we conduct ourselves. And it's not just about the laws we pass, but the norms that we follow, all of which have been broken by this president. So I read those, I hope the majority of Americans, both shaking my head and really just feeling sick at heart that we have a president who is such a disgrace. And it's about what we should stand for that he positions himself against, using slogans like Western civilization and admiring somebody like Putin who wants to destroy Western civilization. So let's be really clear about what accountability means here, and let's start holding him accountable for what he says and what he does. And of course, we have to wait for an election, but there are a lot of people around him who I think need to be held accountable right now for the behavior that they're engaged in and what they are leading us toward.
Let's talk about Iran. We'd love to get your insights on the war. Obviously, you've always understood and you've always clearly said that Iran is been the epicenter of international terror since 1979. They have the blood of Americans on their hands. And I know you have great fears, like everybody else, about a nuclear Iran. But let's talk about where we are now, how we got into the war, and how we get out. Talks obviously took place over the weekend. It seems to me the two issues, intractable issues, remain the Strait and Iran's nuclear program. If you were Secretary of State today, what would be your next step following the talks in Islamabad?
Well, there is so much damage that's been done by this administration to achieving those two goals that it's going to take.
Any plans to watch Peace Coast debate tonight? Wait, who's he debating?
A lot of hard work. And, Joe, let me just say this. When I was Secretary of State and beginning the secret negotiations with Iran to try to reach a nuclear weapons deal to prevent them from ever having a nuclear arsenal, it was a very slow, deliberative process. This is hard work. You don't just show up in Geneva or Islamabad, talk for a bunch of hours and go away. This is hard, disciplined effort that has to go into diplomacy to reach any result. And I don't see this administration either wanting to do it or, frankly, being capable of doing it, because they send the same three people around the world, two of them.
Apparently Witkoff, Kushner, and I guess Vance are literally experts in diplomacy for every single region in every single country. Hooray!
Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, they're supposed to solve Ukraine, Iran, Gaza. It's a joke, because from what I'm told and what I've read, they're supposed to solve Ukraine, Iran, Gaza, around the world. Two of them, Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, they're supposed to solve Ukraine, Iran, Gaza. It's a joke, because from what I'm told and what I've read in public accounts, the offer that was made by the Iranians in Geneva was not adequate, but it served as a starting place beyond which, as Jonathan Powell, the British National Security Advisor, said, we expected the Iranians to start with. But that would require sitting in a chair for hours, as we did, to get the first agreement. That seems to be something that Trump and his people are unable to do. So you would have to wipe the slate clean. You would have to bring in people who actually know something about nuclear weapons. We had physicists, nuclear weapons practitioners at the table when our administration was negotiating for the JPOA. You need people who know something, who know the history. It's shocking that Trump said nobody told him that Iran might close the Strait of Hormuz. Every war game I was ever involved in, that was the first thing we assumed Iran would do. So we're in a situation now where we are weak, where we essentially have lost the leverage and initiative that we had. I supported Trump bombing the nuclear sites back in June. I thought that was an appropriate and limited strategic objective. I opposed his incoherent attack on Iran, and I also know from personal experience how Netanyahu has tried to get every American president to agree to have an open-ended war with Iran, because I had many, many hours-long conversations with him and his war cabinet about this, and refusing to go along with a very inchoate desire to do something to Iran that, with no real end state that could be described sufficiently. So now here we are. I think you've got to get back into hard negotiations with the right people at the table who know what they are doing. And I think then you've got to make it very clear we want our allies involved. We don't want to be dissing our allies because they have a big stake in this. When we did the original talk, we had the people...
Like, I don't know how you can be conservative and listen to Hillary talk and be like, wow, she sure is a retard. Like, she's like so clearly leagues above whatever the this current president administration is. Like, Jesus.
5+1, the original members of the Security Council plus Germany. But it was a real negotiation. So I worry that the United States is now in a very weak position vis-a-vis Iran, which should be the outlier, should be on the back foot, and should be the one held to account.
So you mentioned our allies. I'm curious, NATO allies, our friends. How do you, from the many people that I know you speak to, how do our allies feel about us right now, and what is the concern moving forward? And given the void that you say you see at the negotiating table with this war in Iran and the patterns of this commander-in-chief, then where is this headed?
This is what worries me the most, Mika. A quick point on the allies. It was a good day for NATO and the EU with the Hungarian election, because the new leader immediately said we're going to get close to the EU and NATO. Not that he's going to agree with everything. That's not expected, but we're going to be back in an alliance. We're going to be working together. I think our allies believe we've lost our mind because they wake up in the morning like we do and see the rants from the President of the United States, the figure of such authority, making no sense half the time. So I think the allies have come to the realization they've got to strengthen the EU. They have to strengthen their own defenses. They have to strengthen their position with Ukraine to prevent Putin, and it's at a stalemate, which is, good for Ukraine, and we've got to make sure that they continue to defend themselves. They're not pushed into some, surrender deal by Trump. But the bigger question is, what does Trump do now? I teach a course at Columbia University with the Dean of the School of International and Public Affairs. We've been on your program, and among the things we teach is behavior of leaders. And there's something called domain of loss, which means when a leader feels that he's losing, he actually becomes more reckless. And I fear that with Trump. He's found the joy of ordering our military to go do things that give him a lot of dopamine, I guess, when he's in the Situation Room watching them, take out Maduro from, Venezuela or attack Iran or whatever. I just worry that he's going to become more reckless. And this is a call to the Congress, including the Republicans, to step up and do your constitutional duty. Rein in this president before he causes absolutely irreparable damage to our country, to our military standing, to our authority and leadership. Do not let him continue to be a rogue player in the international arena, because I fear he will get more reckless. And I will tell you, when we win these midterm elections, because look, if the elections were today or next week or the following week, we would win both the House and the Senate, and I hope that's what happens in November, both because I want to see change, but also I want to see him held accountable. And so let's do it now, because I'm not sure we can wait and allow him free range to, along with his buddy Hegseth, to, tell our military to go do things that are not even in the interest of the United States, as well as breaching, the laws of war. So, look, I worry a lot about how more irrational and unhinged he could become.
Let's talk about Israel. You spoke briefly about Netanyahu and Israel. I know you've always been a strong supporter of Israel. You've spoken out aggressively against anti-Semitism. You've in fact been attacked time and time again when you give speeches because people believe that you are too strong of a supporter of Israel. And yet, I've heard you and President Clinton talk about the tragedy of how far Netanyahu has taken us from where the Clinton administration had us in the Oslo Accords, where there was an extraordinary deal for the Palestinians that they passed up on, which led to the saying to begin, the Palestinians never pass up an opportunity to pass up an opportunity. That said, here we are all these years later, and Netanyahu continuing an endless war, the bombing of it seems like half of Lebanon. We saw what happened in Gaza. Every day, horrors being visited upon the people of the West Bank. Talk about the real damage that Benjamin Netanyahu is doing, not just to the region, but also to Israel. You've seen how a majority of Americans have now turned against Israel. In our time, that was unheard of, Madam Secretary. What's the future for Israel?
They love the Jews.
Well, you've done a pretty good summary of the problem, Joe. I do support Israel. I am a staunch supporter of Israel, and I am a staunch opponent of Benjamin Netanyahu. He has stayed too long. He has, in my view, undermined Israel's long-term security, and I am, very worried about what's happening. When people say, well, you've got to support Netanyahu if you are, pro-Israeli or Israel, well, I say, look, I love America, and I'm really opposed to Donald Trump. Does that make me anti-American? I don't think so. It makes me a fair observer, in my view, of assessing what is in the best interest of my country, and I feel the same way about Israel. Now, look, I think there has been a very important effort to push back and to defeat the axis of enemies that Iran put together, Hamas, which, remember, started the terrible sequence of events back on October 7th of 2023, and Hezbollah. But we see Hezbollah is not by any means defeated because we're engaged in a war now in southern Lebanon. I would wish the following. Number one, and finally there seems to be some opening here. I've been advocating behind the scenes for this now for several months. Israel should support this Lebanese government. There has not been a better Lebanese government since the Syrians and Iranians assassinated Hariri. They are trying. Do they have all the capacity they need? No. But they are trying to set up a government in Lebanon that can deal with the threat that Hezbollah poses internally to Lebanon. And so rather than making their task even harder, work with this new government in Lebanon. See how far you can help them to go to disarm Hezbollah, to create better conditions for a lasting, secure peace between Lebanon and Israel. And for heaven's sakes, rein in the settler violence. It is unacceptable.
True.
The West Bank is filled with people who want a better future for themselves and their families. Let's help them with that. Let's make it more likely that they could be, allies instead of adversaries. But if you're going to continue to blow up their homes and allow people to destroy their olive groves and everything else that is going on now, you're just creating the next generation of people who are going to hate what is next door to them in Israel. That is no way to try to create a secure Israel going forward. Let's accelerate what we need to do in Gaza. And yes, Hamas needs to be disarmed. One of the, ongoing challenges is how that is going to be done. Let's focus on that. But look, ultimately the Israeli people will have to decide who their leaders are. And I hope, like the people of Hungary, they realize that, their economy has been, undermined. Their unity within Israel has been put at risk. Their security and safety is not yet what it needs to be because they have leadership that is not going to, in my view, act in the best interests of Israel and the future of Israel. So, when you care about people and you care about a country, you want to see the best for them. And I think anyone who is criticizing the Netanyahu government has every right to do so. But let's not forget that, Israel itself has lived in a very dangerous neighborhood for a very long time. It deserves our support, separate and apart from Netanyahu.
Thank you for this extended and wide-ranging conversation. Jesus. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you both.
We appreciate it.
Next time I'll try to be there in person. I always love coming in and talking to you both. Take care. Bye-bye.
Anytime. Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
My queen. God damn.
It's good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
I've got a question for you. Are you on the Pope's side or the President's side?
You know what? I'm quite confident both the Pope and the President can speak for themselves.
Well, they're going through a very public sort of beef right now, and they're both.
I understand you want to get me in the middle of that. I trust both of them to express their own.
Do you think that the President is doing the right thing by taking on?
I've given you my answer. You can keep asking and get the same answer.
Right. Did you like the tweet that he put out today, where he was
As I said, I've given you my answer. So every way you ask the question, you're going to get the
Oh,
same
these are
answer.
different questions, sir.
Nope. I've told you exactly what I got to say on it.
What do you think about Eric Swalwell just resigning?
Couldn't come too soon.
Right. I've heard it was an open secret around DC that these allegations were swirling. Those are the reports. What do you think?
I have heard that. I actually talked about that at length on my podcast today.
Nice.
I had not heard those
Les
rumors.
podcast.
I don't generally pal around with a lot of Democrat House members, but given
He's too cool for
just
that.
how widespread these allegations are, it seems very likely that it was widely known on the Democrat side.
Did they have an obligation to come forward sooner than before an outlet broke it?
I think everyone who knew about it should have come forward.
Very good. Thank you, Ted.
Thanks, Teddy. Well, anything else happen today?
No, it's pretty boring.
Oh, you think it's funny to laugh about a world in crisis?
Yeah, I do. Hair update, still churning. Pizza is not ready yet.
Does it hurt at all?
No.
Shouldn't it?
I mean, it's tingly. Would I say it hurts? No.
Okay. Mine burned the out of my head. I thought I was going to die too while they were putting it on. It was like I was breathing in.
Oh, you must have used some heavy shit then.
Would you ever do it again? I don't know. Probably not. What reason would GRRM publishers have to deny 4chan rumors on the release of Winds of Winter if the leaks that is coming out were false? I don't know. Did they deny it? Did you see the leaks? Have you guys covered that at all?
What links?
You haven't seen the leaks?
No.
Some guy who works at the marketing publisher thing or whatever was leaking deets about the manuscript for Winds of Winter or whatever the fuck.
That shit's never coming out, man.
Well, not according to the leaks.
They denied it.
Exactly. Why would they have to deny it if it wasn't true?
Of course they would deny it.
Yeah, why would they have to deny it if it wasn't true? Who would waste their time denying petty rumors like that, you know?
I'm too rich to work on Winds of Winter. You think I'd be writing that shit?
True.
Just let the guy die and be fat and happy, guys. Get him up on the book.
My God, you're a full-on.
The only
you're
good writer
simping for
out
him.
there is Brandon Sanderson.
Oh
Move
my
to his
God.
books, man. George R. R. Martin's gonna die. Sanderson will finish it.
No.
Triple as.
Why the f did this cat just move on his own? What the f?
Accepted. It's inevitable. Did we ever figure out what happened to that lady who filmed the DoorDash dude with his dick out?
I don't know where she's
We got an
at
update on that?
right now.
You don't even read? No, I don't read fiction.
Based. King alert.
I'm on my non-fiction arc.
God, don't kill him.
What was the last book I read? I'm reading a book on NATO right now, retard.
Why? Yikes, cringe.
Because we should know about the greatest military alliance in the world before it disintegrates.
Have you ever thought about just not reading though?
Thought about it.
I had a meeting last night at my church and I saw my priest and we were talking and I said, Father, I got to tell you something. I really don't like the Pope. I don't like him at all. He's not on my A list. And he just busted
I don't like the
out
Pope
laughing.
either.
He's
That's
such
why I'm not a Catholic.
Well, I am a Catholic, so it's awkward for me. But, it was so bad before.
The Pope made a statement. Did you see the Pope's statement? Now, if you
I
want to
see
bring this
everything
up,
he says. I hate watch him. It's terrible.
You hate watching him. I hate the Pope.
No, I hate watch him. Get it? Like, I hate what he says, so I hate watch him. Like, I got to know what he says because I got to know. But I hate watch him. It's like, I'm just watching it because I know it's going to tick me off.
Okay, he doesn't want any conflict anywhere, and he was talking about violence. And I'm like, have you even read the Bible? Have you read the conflicts, the wars that the Israeli people they were empowered by God to defeat their enemies?
Well,
did you ever hear the story about David slaying Goliath? Through the power of God with a slingshot against this massive giant, or the conflicts and the wars of King Saul and so on and so forth. And frankly, all throughout Israel's history, they've been, surrounded by enemies, but as God's chosen people, they against all odds keep winning. Pretty amazing.
pretty amazing.
Well,
Pope's been real quiet since that one dropped. Just saying.
I hope he announces a crusade.
Jesus Christ. What do you mean by that?
You heard me.
I don't know if you can just like announce a crusade.
He's basically God. He can do whatever he wants.
Really?
He's the voice of God, I think, incarnate.
Based?
He should announce a crusade on misinformation.
Super based, true. More Hassan Slop? I feel like I'm all Hassan Slopped out. Jesus Christ. The Hassan community. ContraPoints wants to debate Hassan? Question mark. She's irrelevant. Hassan should be platforming progressive candidates or doing fun things with Will, Austin, Cutie, and friends. Just say you're not relevant anymore and trying to get a bag. It's not worth the time or platforming her. Her moment is over. What is she going to do? Argue that genocide is okay? She's going to bring a PowerPoint presentation and prove Zionism is in fact cool as f. Who would have thought like 5-10 years ago, fucking this would be where the discourse was for ContraPoints? Gee. Or should I say, sheesh. Sheesh. How's her head feeling?
Still tingly.
It's good.
It's not burning. Yeah. Let's see if it even... Oh, tier 5 subscriber. 10 months.
Polarized. Wow. What a king.
Butts-to-knee. What happened to my head? I'm bleaching my hair right now to prepare for the blue dye. Why do you order Subway instead of Chipotle?
I don't know. Is there a Chipotle down here?
It wasn't when I was there. Let me look.
Well then, Mr. Mooten, that sure would explain it, wouldn't it?
Folks, today, April 12th, 2026, we have just had peace talks for the war in Iran in Islamabad. Why did they choose Islamabad? Because when they were listing cities, someone said Islamabad, and JD Vance said, hell yeah, it is. JD Vance, by the way, our lead negotiator. He's only the most unpopular vice president at this point in the presidency ever.
Look at Biden,
which is
+4.
He's doing the same thing Dick Cheney did, invade the Middle East, but Dick Cheney had +37. He's -18. What happened? Our least popular vice president ever at this point in his term is our lead negotiator in Islamabad to talk with Iran. And they had 21 hours of peace talks in a row. It was a marathon session. They just kept trying to hammer out details of the peace agreement. And at the end of the 21-hour peace talks, JD Vance came out with good news and with bad news.
We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America.
Damn.
Good news is that we talked for 21 hours. The bad news is we got no agreement. So there's really only bad news. So we're really exactly where we started. Interesting. Donald Trump, who was not at the negotiations but was briefed on them, had to jump in. So during this 21 hours of negotiations, while they're feeding information back to Trump, he surreptitiously retweets this on Truth Social, which is a post from Just the News that says, the Trump card the president holds if Iran won't bend, a naval blockade. Just an idea from some insane right-wing slop website. 12 hours later, that's the plan. Now, I don't know if he was prepping for the idea with the public or if he got the idea from this, but he retweets this. And then 12 hours later, we're coming out and going, okay, effective immediately, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. I have instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran. No one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas. We're on Pirates of the Caribbean on this bitch. Other countries will be involved in this blockade. Other countries not named. My girlfriend goes to a different school. Other countries not named will be part of this blockade. Iran will not be allowed to profit off this illegal act of extortion. Additionally, and at an appropriate moment, we are fully, quote, locked and loaded, and our military will finish up the little that is left of Iran. So the ceasefire thing is just gone. Apparently, it's going to last till the end of the 2 weeks, which is on April 22nd. So we have about 10 days left from when I'm recording this. But at the end of that, there's no plan to continue it seems, at this point, and negotiations are not going well. By the way, but before I move on, this is a pretty important tweet. The President of the United States,
I think a big thing that's being touted right now is that they were asking for a 20-year moratorium on any uranium enrichment, and Iran said, you?
Yeah, maybe because they realized, oh shit, that's what we were originally kind of here for, and we need to actually do something about that, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Desperately to end the blockade of Hormuz is now responding by doubling the blockade of Hormuz. We are now having a double blockade. So it's a pretty big escalation. I mean, I'll go through what this means, but it's a big deal. And then 30 minutes after posting this incredibly important update on a major geopolitical situation, he posted what happened to Bruce Springsteen and talked about his plastic surgery. This is, again, 23 minutes after that. Well, I'm glad the seriousness of the situation is being felt. Look, let's draw up what's actually happened. So after the attacks on Iran blockaded Hormuz, this 21-mile narrow gap where a massive amount of global shipping goes through. 20% of the world's oil, ton of the world's precursors to fertilizer, natural gas, ton of everything goes to this strait. Iran blockaded it and created this toll booth right here where you could pay them yuan to get your ship to go through. Now, not many ships did this, but a few did. Chinese vessels, few did go through this toll booth. Donald Trump, in his Don Zhu mode, said break an enemy blockade by blockading their blockade. And now is setting up a second blockade back here so that if you pay the toll and go through, you are going to run into American ships and not be allowed to go through. Thus, the plan being, by the way, there is some strategic merit to this. It's more the optics are horrible, but the strategic merit is that Iran can no longer fund itself by sending its own ships and a few of its ally ships. Now, if the Gulf states can't get through, nobody can get through is the idea.
But no one was making a ton of money right now.
What do you mean?
Like, there weren't many ships going through the strait.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Well, this now know what he's going through, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
And what's interesting is
it mattered or if this is relevant at all.
This may be something the United States could pull off without a hitch, if not for one major question. This plan, there is some merit to it, but there's one major question that makes it a huge, dangerous, scary escalation. Now, I went on Chinese social media and I saw that the drawing I made here is being made there. This is on Chinese social media. They're making the same drawing and they're coming to similar questions. And the major question of this situation is, what happens when a Chinese ship tries to exit the strait? If a Chinese ship goes to this toll booth, sails out here with oil headed for China, is the United States going to stop it? Is it going to blow it up? That is a major question. That is a World War III type question. Is it a taco? Is it an escalation? What happens? And especially if China chooses to send military ships to come and escort their boats through a blockade that the President of the United States has publicly endorsed. That is a real Suez crisis moment where either the United States backs down to China and then a massive geopolitical shift is underway, or they don't, and then the escalation could cause World War III. I mean, it's a serious, I'm joking somewhat, but this is serious, okay? So what does China do? Well, there's one plan I could give them, third blockade. A third blockade? Put a third one behind? Wait a minute. That could be based. No, but being seriously, because this might be World War III, I don't want this to be my last clip on the subject. Being seriously, the danger here is now becoming the U.S. and China getting into serious at-odds military conflict. That is now the serious danger of this blockade. Because, first of all, tensions are already rising because China has, this is leaked, but apparently providing Iran with weapons with which to shoot down American planes. And so that
what?
The idea that there's going to be a U.S.-China conflict because they can't get two ships a day through the strait is actual slop.
Well, wait, what slop?
I don't believe that China is going to go to war with the United States over this current blockade.
I agree with you, but I think the slop is not Atrioc's video. The slop is the plan then. Like, why are we blockading them? Yeah.
Yes.
That is already causing problems. Trump said, if this is real, I threaten 50% tariff, which, by the way, seems minor compared to what that would actually be. But that's the beginning. I mean, these are all like pre-World War I type headlines. These are all escalations that are like, how do they get an off-ramp here? So China's providing weapons to Iran. And also, on the flip side, all that talk that you might have heard about how China doesn't really need the Strait of Hormuz, I think was largely overblown. Yes, China has a good strategic petroleum reserve, but we need to not understate that 37% of all traffic through this thing goes directly to China. They're the largest importer of oil from it. It is extremely important for them economically. They can't just ignore it. They can't just be like, it don't matter, when they were getting it through this toll booth. Again, article from today in the FT, Fortress China shows cracks as Iran war strains supply chain. Energy, chemicals, and helium all under pressure despite Beijing's push to build up economic security. The truth is, this matters, which means the United States blockading it is a direct economic attack on China, which could lead to a military attack. I mean, it reminds me of like when the U.S. blockaded Japan's oil during World War II, which is a direct precursor to Pearl Harbor. Like, these economic cutoffs are always the precursor to what happens in real war. Like, this is like an escalation that requires either a taco or next level. So again, Xi Jinping in this situation has two options. Number one is use strategic petroleum reserves, which they have plenty, and try to wait it out. And number two is send ships in and escort their vessels.
I feel like Atrioc's trying to say that it was business as usual going through the strait, which it absolutely wasn't. There was like 2 ships a day going through.
Yeah, but so like, does a second blockade matter at all? Yeah, I don't know. True. Yeah, well, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what the fuck anything.
He didn't say that. He's literally saying that there might be like some sort of military escalation between the U.S. and China over this blockade. But in order for that to happen, it would have to be like the United States is actively cutting off a good source of oil, and that just wasn't happening because of the conflict that's going on in Iran.
Well,
whatever. Who cares? Just play this
now
song.
Instead of a few ships going through, now no ships are going through.
Yeah, so instead of 2, there's 0.
We've got a John Kerry appearance. He's still alive, by the way.
Strike. Yes, he wanted us to strike. He came to President Obama. He made a presentation to ask to strike. President Obama refused. President Biden refused. President Bush refused. The only president who has agreed to this, obviously, is President Trump.
He's apparently taken on turtle form, like McConnell.
Let's listen in here.
It was very surprising. Very surprising.
The great big beautiful bill. And that doesn't include overtime in your case. This is only just based on what we did in terms of every other aspect of the tax bill, right?
Yes, sir.
So it was 11,000 saving.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that incredible? And that's what it is, the tax cut. It's really, we call it the great big beautiful bill. We should call it the great big beautiful tax cut bill because it's a tremendous amount
Good one, President.
of money. And that's overtime. That's also on Social Security, as you know.
Yes.
And it's pretty amazing.
Yes, it is.
Well, you're really nice. Would you like to do a little news conference with me with these people? These are not the nicest people. They're not nice like you. You know that, right?
I'll do whatever you ask me to do, sir.
So the no tax on tips is something special, right?
It's very special.
And that's the one that really pertains to you more than anything else.
Yes, sir. Yes.
It's fantastic. It's such an honor to meet you. And I think you voted for me, do you think?
Maybe.
Yeah? I heard you're a great supporter. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll put this over here. And why don't we have a news conference with the president?
Okay.
Want to do it?
Sure.
You don't have to say too much. I think they're looking about hormone straight and various other things. Do you have any questions?
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support, and only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people,
guys.
A lot better. As an example, the 11,000, I understand your husband's going through treatment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's
He
going
has
through
cancer.
some very serious cancer treatment, so
Yes, sir.
this goes a long way.
Yes, sir. It sure does.
Mr. President, are another round of talks planned with Iran? And if so, will you send Vice President J.D. Vance with?
Well, he's done a good job, and Steve and Jared, they've all done a very good job. And I can tell you that we've been called by the other side. They'd like to make a deal very badly, very badly.
What was the sticking point over? You said it was over nuclear.
It was over nuclear, very similar.
I don't know. Please God, once Trump is gone, we're going to ditch this speaking convention. Over nuclear what? Over nuclear weapons? Just please ditch this speaking convention of cyber, nuclear, whatever the f else. Jesus.
Yeah, very good. I guess you're listening. It's over the fact that they will never have a nuclear weapon. Iran, you marking it down? Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. And we agreed to a lot of things, but they didn't agree to that. And I think they will agree to it. I'm almost sure of it. In fact, I am sure of it. If they don't agree, there's no deal. There'll never be a deal. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon, and we're going to get the dust back. We'll get it back either. We'll get it back from them or we'll take it.
Mr. President, as far as the naval blockade is concerned, what's the end game? Is it to force Iran back to the negotiating table? Is it to open up the strait so that gas prices ultimately come down?
Maybe everything. I mean, both of those things.
Literally everything.
And more. We can't let a country blackmail or extort the world, because that's what they're doing. They're really blackmailing the world. We're not going to let that happen. And the amazing thing is, can you believe this? We don't use the strait. We don't need the strait. We have our own oil and gas, much more than we need. We have more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia. Think of this. We produce more. Saudi Arabia, and add Russia to it. Substantially more. And by next year, we'll have double that amount. So we don't need it, but the world needs it. And many ships are heading to our country right now as we speak to load up with the best. Really, I guess you could say, somebody said the best and sweetest. I don't know exactly what sweet is, but when it relates to oil, it's a good thing. But they're coming to our country right now. There are many boats coming to our country. Now, it could very well be this is going to be settled before that. We've been called this morning by the right people, the appropriate people, and they want to work a deal. They would like to work a deal.
Is it your anticipation, Mr. President, that other countries will assist in this effort to blockade Iran and those specific...
Yeah, other countries are going to also.
Which countries, sir?
We don't need other countries, frankly, but they've offered the services. We'll let it be known probably tomorrow.
Has the blockade started, sir?
Yeah, started. 10 o'clock.
Bishop Robert Barron supports you and your policies, praises you for defending religious freedom.
Yeah.
He now says you owe Pope Leo an apology. Will you apologize?
No, I don't, because Pope Leo said things that are wrong. He was very much against what I'm doing with...
Imagine fighting with the Pope.
With regard to Iran, and you cannot have a nuclear Iran. Pope Leo would not be happy with the end result. You have hundreds of millions of people dead, and it's not going to happen. So I can't. I think he's very weak on crime.
Can you say why you did not make it to NCSU today? I already said I canceled all my UFA events this month because I have to grind for my court fees.
And other things, so I'm not. I mean, he went public. I'm just responding to Pope Leo. And you know, his brother is a big MAGA person, and he's a great guy, Louis. And I said I like Louis better than I like the Pope. No, you have to have law and order in our country, and that's what we have now. We have the lowest crime numbers we've had in a long time, despite the fact that many criminals were allowed into our country. But we've gotten a lot of them out. We've done a great job on crime. So we have the lowest.
Wait, what? Hold on.
I think he's very weak on crime and other things, so I'm not.
What would a strong on crime Pope look like? Does he need to be like excommunicating criminals, or what does that mean?
I mean, he went public. I'm just responding to Pope Leo.
Could you imagine if the Pope... Wait, can you excommunicate non-Catholics? Or is it only Catholics?
And you know, his brother is a big MAGA person, and he's a great guy, Louis. And I said I like Louis better than I like the Pope. No, you have to have law and order in our country, and that's what we have now. We have the lowest crime numbers we've had in a long time, despite the fact that many criminals were allowed into our country. But we've gotten a lot of them out. We've done a great job on crime. So we have the lowest murder rate in 125 years, since 1900, the lowest murder rate. So we believe strongly in law and order, and he seemed to have a problem with that, so there's nothing to apologize for. He's wrong. The other thing is he didn't like what we're doing with respect to Iran, but Iran is wants to be a nuclear nation so they can exterminate the world. Not going to happen.
Mr. President, on Iran, if the deal is not reached by the end of the ceasefire, does your threat from before still stand?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that, but it won't be pleasant for them. Let me put it that way.
Do you still plan to charge your toll to use restraining order?
Has your timetable changed in any way in terms of ending this conflict?
No, we're just going. It's going on. Just right now, there's no fighting. Right now, we have a blockade. They're doing no business. I didn't like seeing boats come out if they were doing business with Iran, but if they weren't, no boats came out. So now Iran is doing absolutely no business, and we're going to keep it that way very easily. Don't forget, their Navy is gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft is gone, their radar is gone, and their leaders are gone. That's a lot.
Do you still want to charge the
coming from predominantly going to China, Mr. President? Has Xi Jinping reached out? I know you're going to be...
No, but we have a very good relationship with China. He would like to see this ended also. He certainly wants it ended. Everyone, I want to see it ended too, but we can't give a nuclear weapon to a group of people that have caused nothing but havoc for 47 years. Look, I'm the president that's done something about it. This should have been, and many other presidents regret that they didn't. So I'm doing something about it.
Ukraine impeachment documents that were just declassified show that Eric Charinella not only submitted false information, but that he had no direct knowledge of the alleged conversation. It was all hearsay. Do you feel vindicated by those?
Yeah, I do. They're a bunch of crooked people. You're talking about with respect to all of the things that they put against me? Yeah. Well, it's come out that in so many different ways. Thank you very much for that question. I appreciate it. But in so many different ways, the election was rigged. The 2020 election was rigged. We found that out.
Oh, we found that out finally.
Just a piece of that. It's a big piece, but minor, relatively speaking, compared to what they did. They cheated in the election. They cheated on the vote. They cheated in every way possible, and it's the only way we got an incompetent man to be a president. And he was an incompetent man. Many of the things that we're talking about, even including this would have been settled a long time ago, not now. And it should have been settled by other presidents. But the election was a rigged election. We can't let that happen to our country.
Concealment of exculpatory information, what should happen?
Well, it's a very serious charge against them and the Democrats. They cheat. They can't get elected with their policy. So their policy's no good. They want to have, open borders. They want to have men playing in women's sport. Do you think that men should play in women's sports?
I really don't have an opinion on that.
You don't? I'll bet you do.
No, I'm here about
Pizza.
no tax on tips.
Yeah, okay.
She said, sorry, fuck that.
Is it your understanding that during this period of time, while the U.S. has instituted this naval blockade, that oil companies will be able to send their oil tankers through the strait, get more oil out?
Yeah, I think they're going to be doing very well there, and I think they're doing very well here. You know, a lot of tankers are coming up here. They're coming in empty and out full, and we have a great capacity to take care of that business.
Ma'am, may we know your name, please? Have you delivered to the White House before?
I have not. My name is Sharon Simmons.
And are the White House good tippers? Do you know?
Have you delivered to the White House before? Do they DoorDash to the White House?
Yeah, obviously not. This guy's a slob journalist.
Whoa!
Yes, very.
Mr. President, can I ask you something?
That's good. Thank you. You reminded me.
Mr. President, one on Cuba, sir. You previously said that you had no problem with countries sending fuel to Cuba after previously promising to tariff them. What happened? What changed?
Well, we're going to see with Cuba. Cuba's another story. Cuba's been a terribly run country for a long time. It's got a bad system. It's been very oppressive, as you know. And we have a lot of great Cuban Americans, all of whom just about voted for me. And they were treated very badly. In many cases, family members have been killed. They've been beaten up and mugged.
Many such.
Terrible things happened in Cuba. And Cuba's a failing nation.
Yep.
And we're going to do this. And we may stop by Cuba after we're finished with this. But Cuba
Casually threatens
is
to
a
invade other
nation that was
nations'
just been horribly run for many years by Castro.
You said may stop by.
Regulator Bill Pulte, regarding those two recent referrals for Letitia James for insurance fraud, do you know if federal prosecutors have evidence to charge?
Well, I don't know. I know she's a very corrupt person. And you're talking about the so-called Attorney General of New York. She's a very corrupt person. That's been proven now.
President of the United States
And I know
casually calling
I have nothing to do
people
with
corrupt.
it, but
Why
they're
not?
looking at
With
things
no evidence.
all over the place,
Base.
more than one state
He doesn't need
concerning
evidence.
her and concerning
It's just
people
common
like
sense.
Comey,
True.
who's a dirty cop. Comey's a dirty cop, and dirty cops are bad. Nobody likes the police more than me, law enforcement more than me, but Comey's a totally dirty cop, and we're not gonna stand for it. Yeah.
The UFC fight that's happening at the White House this summer, the UFC typically numbers those fights consecutively, but should they label this one UFC 1776?
Oh, here it
That's a good idea. I'll tell that to Dana White. I like that idea, actually. I will say I've been involved with a lot of big events. I've never had an event that's had more interest than the UFC fight that we have right at the front door. Right there, they're going to start building about a 4,500 seat arena. And then in the back, at the Ellipse, we're going to have maybe 100,000, 50 to 100,000 people, I guess. They're building tremendous stages, and you're going to have massive screens of the fight.
Crazy.
And it's a
Huge
very
screens.
popular sport. But I have never been involved, because of the White House and everything. There's a lot of reasons for it. But we're having a fight at the White House on June 14th, and we're going to have an arena built right at the front door.
Wow.
And if you want, is your husband up to coming, you think? Does he like UFC?
He might.
If he's feeling good, we'll make sure you come, okay?
That would be wonderful.
That's
Thank
better
you.
than the tip I just gave you, I'll tell you. That's a lot better. But no, he's feeling good, right?
Yeah.
Is he doing okay? Is he going to be okay?
He's doing very well. He's doing very well. He actually, during the process, he wrote a book. And
Go ahead, give him the name. Maybe it's...
he hasn't had it published yet, but it's a book on humility, and his name is Leo, and he's just
Good guy.
doing good. He's doing great.
How long are you married?
We have been married for 6 years.
Oh, so that's
But
good.
we've, like most people, we've been together for over 10. So
That's very good. Well, that's very nice to say hello to him. He's going to be good. Okay, he's going to get better, and he's going to be good.
yes, sir.
Good. Well, I want to thank you all, and I especially
He's a
want to
healer
thank you
now.
for being here.
Well, I want
Well, I
to
mean, you
thank
saw his Twitter, right?
for
Right.
the no tax on tips.
Oh, that's good.
It has helped my family out immensely, and I definitely appreciate it.
That's so nice. You know, the one thing that I just in leaving, we've had more good press for a change, having to do with the fact that people are receiving more money from their tax refunds than they ever thought possible. We had a man the other day got $5,000. Another one got $7,000. They weren't expecting anything like this, and it's because of the great, big, beautiful bill.
Wow.
And that's why you came, and I really appreciate it. And tell your husband to get better.
I will.
And if he's feeling good, you'll come up and you'll watch that fight.
All
okay,
right.
June 14th.
I appreciate it.
All
Thank
right?
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care of yourself.
Thank you.
Any update on
Thank you.
DOJ, though,
Thank
Mr.
you.
President?
Your
You went to leave DOJ. Any update on who you went to leave DOJ? Who you're going to nominate?
Well, I think Todd, as far as doing a fantastic job, I will say that. He's a great lawyer. I know that because he's been with me a long time. And so far, he's doing a great job. But we have incredible people in the DOJ, getting better all the time. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Wait, look at the door. Hold on.
Well, there
You
you
see that?
have it. A very last-minute
The Oval
impromptu
Office.
press conference from
Ooh.
President Trump there at the Oval Office, where it appeared that the president was ordering DoorDash, and in many ways to push the message of no taxes on tips.
What's so funny about
And
that,
a
Moon?
DoorDasher there bringing
I
in
just-
McDonald's, and then ultimately
You hate America? You hate America?
Hearing
You
the
elitist?
president order DoorDash is crazy. It's crazy work.
Because you hate America. You don't identify with the common man like President Trump does.
I guess not.
AOC wrestles with left-wing Dems as 2028 decision looms. In private, Ocasio-Cortez is fumed about the criticism, believing it's unfair and counterproductive to the progressive movement. One liberal strategist told Axios that AOC has lamented that the left was not there for her and that they are never pleased. Breaking, the DoorDash grandma exposed as a MAGA crisis actor.
Thank you for appearing today. You gave
July 28th, 2025.
Thank you for appearing today. You gave heartfelt testimony. If you can, and you don't know what you don't know, but from your perspective, what do you think this bill is ultimately going to mean for you, the savings that you're going to have?
Well, again, I believe that.
Is this the same woman?
It's going to free up some stuff.
Miss Simmons. Was that the name of the DoorDash driver?
Means that I'm going to be able
Uh-oh.
to stay more connected with my family in Missouri. It's going to help with in the future treatment. God forbid that he has to have more treatments, but it will help more with that. It is truly, DoorDash truly a independent, industry, and I enjoy that part of it. I like being able to, just do what I need to do, and freeing up this extra money means quite a bit.
Why is this
to my
bad?
family.
I mean, I guess it's not the worst thing, but like basically they're pretending like the woman was like a random DoorDash driver woman who came to deliver food to the White House, but she's like clearly like a Republican.
Wait, were they?
No?
To be wealthy or well-connected?
I didn't
Not
think
at
that.
all. Thank you very much. Thank you all for appearing, and Mr. Chairman, I'll yield.
She had a whole shirt on that said no tax on tips or whatever.
Well, yeah, because she was there to support like kind of like that policy. Like as a DoorDash driver, this is helping me a lot or whatever.
Yeah, which means it's not a random DoorDash driver.
Well, no, I mean, it was like an event, obviously, but I think it's the idea they're trying to convey is that this is like a DoorDash driver who supports this policy. But my guess is that she's like just like a Republican operative who gets paid to do these kinds of events or whatever.
Maybe the average person will believe that, but they literally flew this lady in from like Arkansas or whatever.
Yeah. Did they say that during the presentation?
No, they didn't. You have to dig into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think most people that watched it probably didn't think that. They were like, oh, it's like this is a DoorDash driver who just happened to be delivering to the White House, kind of, but maybe they told them in
What would you
advance.
think that with the shirt?
Because people are retarded.
I don't care what the average retard
You
thinks.
think average retard thinks. So you're supporting Trump. You think he did a good thing. You support everything
No, I don't
does.
think
You support every single thing
I think
Trump
the no
does.
tax on tips thing is probably fine. Yeah.
Oh, really? So tips are just specially not taxed?
Yeah.
Interesting that you would say that. Huh. You would.
I'll be right back.
Good.
Gotta check on my hair.
Go.